Ladies, gents, folks, friends, everybody, welcome to yet another video. In this one, we're going to cover post forms. Post forms are very crucial in web development, and they are today's main topic and hopefully only topic as we try to stay focused on post forms, explain this in a clear, concise manner, and showcase how, for example, a login form is used. Last time we used the example of a price and brand because we were covering get forms. This time we're going to tweak things a little bit. Let's go ahead and jump to our index.html file. That is the one that we have inside our templates folder. So we go here, we open this up, right? Let's do that like this. And we're going to delete this segment because we don't need that. And we are also going to change the title to register, let's say. And yeah, instead of price, we can make, I suppose we can just delete all of this and redo it. So we're going to accept the username. Let's just build the form first. We'll do input type text, because username consists of text, and the name of it is going to be username. So again, this is how we're going to be able to access this input field from the backend. The placeholder will be enter your username here, and that's that. Now we also need a password, and maybe you already know the password type, as you may have guessed, is going to be what's used for this input type, and we're going to call this input field password. Now, again, what's important here is the backend will know this input field's value based on the name, because this name is what the backend is going to look for, I guess. So we're going to do request.form.get password, and that is the name. And again, the placeholder can be, please enter your secure password here. That's unnecessarily long. Okay. You know, doesn't need to be secure for now. Okay. Oh, it's still kind of long. Whatever, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. We're going to put 2 BRs here, as usual. And we also need a input type submit, and the submit's value will be register. Okay, so we've got ourselves a username, let's say Meho, and our password 123. Now when we hit register, problem, we're still using a get form. See, username equals Meho and password equals 123. That's kind of a problem. I don't think we want that information up there. So let's remove this. Maybe that'll do, right? Well, we covered in the last tutorial as well, Meho 1234. That doesn't really do it because the default form that's going to be used is the get form. How do we change this to a post? Well, we do method post. Perfect. Now we can enter Meho 1234, right? Everything should be secure past this point. Well, when we hit register, oops, it's gonna say method not allowed. The reason for this is because by default, Flask routers are only accepting the get method. Okay, by default, this is the only thing that is actually there. Now we also need the get method and we need the post method. Now you might wonder, well, aren't we using a post form? Why do we need this get one as well? Because by default, this render HTML is being returned using the get method, right? It's being pushed back to the user with the get. The person should be able to, in other words, in order to access this route, the browser sends a get request, right? To be clear, so I'm not causing any misconceptions. When the person goes here, what happened to? Oh, it kind of saved it before we finished that segment. So if we were to remove this, right, when our browser tries to go here, what it would do is it would say method not allowed, even though we haven't submitted any form, because we're not letting a regular person be able to access this page using the browser just by typing something in the URL. Because when you type something into this URL, you're actually sending a GET request to this URL. So for example, if I went to hi, I'm sending a GET request to the website.com/hi. In my case, since I'm running on localhost, the localhost address port 5000/hi. It's getting sent a GET request there. Right now, the home page doesn't allow GET, so we can enable GET by specifying that. By default, if you don't specify anything, it's already enabling only GET. But we need, for being able to handle post forms, which you can see we're able to do now, we need to also specify post. So methods equals GET, comma post in this array format here. Okay, perfect. So now that that's out of the way, we can actually get to how do we actually get this username and password, because you can see as soon as we register, it says price brand none. We haven't really tweaked this segment here. So that's what we're about to do now. Let's go ahead and say username equals request.form.get. Okay. And we're going to say username because I think that's what we called it. And the password equals request.form.get. Again, password. What's important to note here is, again, the name attribute in HTML is what we're picking this up from, and the left side is what we're saving it to as a Python variable. So if we want to print username, this username is this here, but what's coming from HTML is picking the input form that has the name of username's value, right? So what do we put here? Let's say 123, right? This is the input form. This is its value. And how do we know this is the input form we're looking for? We named it username. So that's when we submit this post form. We're going to be able to now retrieve the value 123 by just simply referring to it as username and using the request form get method. Now, you might think that this is all we need. Unfortunately, it's not. We need one more thing. Let's say Maho1234. We hit register. Did we save this? Maho1234. Yep. So we print username, and it does Maho, and we refresh. Okay, great. And we do this, and it's none, and it's not showing anything. Okay. Generally speaking, okay, what's commonly good practice to do is we can check the request method, because we don't want. So the problem with this is that every time you come to this page, right? Essentially, you should be presented with a get with the render template that's coming back to you from the get request that you just sent, which is this. But you might want to leave this segment out, and basically, like, it would say print user made username made. Let's say hypothetically, because this is the register, right? So when you come here, right, you can see there's this problem we're going to face, which is that user none made. User none made. Why are we making a user? The person hasn't even hit the register button yet. There isn't any parameters, obviously, we're passing. It's not a get form. The way that we can avoid this is we can specify if request.method is post, then do this, right? It's important to specify this because now when we refresh the page here, we're not getting any of that user made stuff, but as soon as we hit the register, we're getting user made, right? There is obviously not any checks that are in place right now to see if the user actually has put a username, has put a password. So let's go ahead and add those as well. So if the request method is post, let's make something that's a little functional here. Request.method get, so username and password. So first and foremost, if they haven't even filled it, in other words, if there isn't, a username, if username is none, or username is equal to nothing, okay, we might want to just return, please enter a valid username. Okay, similarly, if password is none, I usually do is none, but whatever, or password is equal to username, then return, please enter a valid password. And you know what, let's do one more check for the password. That is at least 8 characters. Okay, where we can say, or length of the password is less than 8. So basically what we did is we just added a couple of checks. If the person hasn't entered a username, it says please enter a valid username when they're trying to register. If the password is none, they haven't entered a password, or their password is less than 8 characters, it says please enter a valid password that's at least 8 characters. And then if it passes these tests, then it will say username made, right? So that's what we're going to test now. Let's see if it is the way that we want it. So we go to the website. You can see we'll actually clear this and just open one up new. So we go to the website. It doesn't say anything. Now we do Meho and our password 123. We hit register. It says please enter a valid password that is at least 8 characters. Oh, okay. We go there again. Meho 1234 1234 hi. Now we hit register. User Meho made. Great. So this shows you in a nutshell how post forms are done in Flask. When you tie a database, right, and let's say this was an actual login form that you wanted to, or a register format or a login form, or vice versa that you had, you would have functions. Ideally, you want to use external libraries such as Flask SQL Alchemy for the database, with SQL Alchemy acting as somewhat of an ORM. We're going to get to that in future tutorials, and you would want something like Flask Security that provides you with a login form and register form already and does that stuff for you in, sort of the most industry standard way possible, so that you don't forget to do anything that would leave you a bit more vulnerable, because you're setting up everything yourself. So those are good practices for the future. We'll cover how to do those in future videos. For now though, what's important is now we know how to handle post forms, and that's how you do it in Flask. I wish you a wonderful, amazing day, and I look forward to the next video being with all of you again. Peace.